The intended use of this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the host and guests independently, and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Updog Challenge Incorporated, its sponsors, or any other partnered organizations. Updog Challenge Incorporated does not guarantee the accuracy or reliability of any opinions expressed. In no way should the information provided during the Sweet Spot and Updog podcast be considered veterinary, medical, legal, or professional advice. At all times, the advice of your personal professional should supersede any information provided, derived, or inferred from listening to this podcast.
Ready, set, go.
Welcome to the Sweet Spot, an Updog podcast. I'm Dre and Jack.
And I am Jack Faley. We are your hosts today. We do not have a guest today, but we thought we'd just, both of us chiming in from the road here. Dre, where are you at?
I'm in a town called Paynesville, Ohio. So I'm up by Lake Erie.
Well, we are right by the Erie Canal.
Well.
Yeah.
We could just hop in a boat and hang out later.
Exactly. I think it would only take like 15 minutes. We'd be there.
Or so.
Yeah, we are in a little town called Brockport, New York. It is outside of Rochester, New York. Well, Dre and I wanted to make this one about sort of just some talking points that we have just kind of came up as we were watching the performance rounds for the Freestyle Royale. And your comment made me think of spaces. And one of the things Dre and I were talking about is how diverse everybody's space is to play. It makes you very appreciative of the spaces that you have. Like, you know, there were some really pretty tight spaces that people were figuring out how to play in. And
some had like picnic tables in the way. Some had like fire pits, and some were people's very small backyards or a little tiny shaded spot under a tree. There was a lot of variability in field space for sure.
Yeah. And like, you know, again, one of the things about freestyle that I think that's why we find it fascinating and why we can end up talking about it sometimes more so than the other games is because, you know, the judging is somewhat subjective. And when you throw these different factors in, like environments, you know, typically at an event, everybody's playing on the same space.
Yeah,
right.
The space that we play in makes a huge difference. You know, I've been doing shows a lot this summer, and some of the shows that I'm doing, the space is incredibly small, like very small. And there's dogs I can't play in that space just because they extend too much. The last show we were at, it was probably half the amount of space that we have here. And here, when we set it up, it was like, I felt like I was in like the grand palace of Frisbee dog spaces because I have like double the width and double the space. And like, it just changes the game for the dog. Like Chillin is playing totally different in this bigger space than he was in the smaller spaces. He's playing worse, right? Because he has more speed. But that's part of the game that we have to develop. And that's something that would change the results of playing when we get to a competition field and he has all that big open space if he's used to playing in smaller spaces. So some dogs are playing in the smaller spaces because they're just backyard champions. You know, they don't do well in public spaces. Maybe they're nervous or anxious, and the online events give people opportunity to play with those types of dogs. I know for sure there's at least a couple of dogs that register that don't do well in public environments. So they get to. And that was a big reason why we wanted to put together Freestyle Royale. But it's interesting how much the space changes the result of the freestyle, like what's possible.
Well, like you said, it sometimes it limits what you can do with your dog. Sometimes it can impact the viewer. You know, if something gets in the way, the dog's like behind, like you said, behind a picnic table or behind a tree. And I know I was helping Kat do catch ratio some of the time, so. I was counting catches and misses, and I felt like there were more this time that I just didn't even count for either one because I'm like, I can't see that. I don't know what happened. They either went off screen or they went behind a tree or whatever. So like, if you're looking at your catch ratio and you're like, I know I threw 25 throws and I only have you down for 22, that might be because I couldn't see what was going on in 3 of them. But yeah, like, it can impact what the judges see too. There were some where the team was really up close. We know that not
Yeah.
everybody has a second person to run the camera or a fancy camera. Some of you guys have the fancy cameras now that do all the auto zooming in
But
and out and following you.
even those, yeah, that some of the following cameras, especially the ones that had vertical presentation, the person was like this big on the
Right.
monitor. And so
Yeah.
I'm like this
Yeah. Yep.
trying to see if, this tiny little person. So, maybe they were executing really well during that time, but it's hard to like express the emotion or the performance or anything when I'm just straining to see. And I know again, a lot of people don't have somebody that can video for them, or they don't have the money to drop on one of those systems. But I am curious. I want to start a post on the Updog discussion page, so maybe I'll post that today about what those systems are that people are using now, because so much technology is always coming out. I know we've had those posts before, but I'm curious what people are using now, because
Yeah, me
I like the
too.
zoom in one, but I don't know what the features are. I wonder if there's higher resolution, because even on some of the zoom in ones, the resolution wasn't good. So it was like kind of blurry.
Yeah, and maybe it's not even I mean, I'm only going from me, old guy Faley. Like sometimes I might have a system that is perfectly fine, but I don't know how to I'm not using the right settings or something. So
Yeah.
maybe folks could just kind of tell us like, hey, here's what I'm using and these are the settings that I'm using because
Yeah.
like Dre said, there were definitely a few where I had it on. Before we left, I was doing some of this at the house, and
You have a big screen. Yeah.
I have a big screen, and it was still small. There was one team that was throwing black discs into
I
like
couldn't see it against the tree. I know
a
exactly what you're
dark
talking
forest
about.
of trees, and I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I went back and I had to go back and watch it again and watch it again. And like I compared my catch ratio results because I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't even see. All of a sudden the dog would leap up and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I think it caught something.
Does he come down with a black? I know exactly what team that was because I just judged that one this morning. Yeah. And I was like, I can't see anything against the trees.
Yeah.
Another really good tip that somebody did that I wanted to mention on the podcast because it's a really valuable tool, and it addresses the first thing that you said, where like when you're judging catch ratio or when you're judging in general and somebody catches off screen. Like I think as a judge, if we're judging something other than catch ratio, if you see it's a good throw and the dog runs off screen and then like a second later they come back with the disc in their mouth, we can quote unquote assume it's a catch, right? We're not judging catch ratio at that moment. We're judging another category. Teams did it this time, and it's definitely a valuable tool we used in the past. Is when you set up your camera, put cones out on the edges of where the camera can see. And that way, when you're
Good
out in the
idea.
field, you have a visual representation of what the range of the camera is. And that they did have a couple catches right outside the cone zone, but it was closer and almost everything was in, and it just made it a lot easier to kind of follow the round that way. So when you set up your view, just put the cones in and then go back and check your camera and make sure the cones are still on the outside of that view. And when you're out in the big field, it's really hard to know if you're in that camera shot or not.
Right. Yeah. The other thing that I thought was very cool this time around, I don't know why this particular time people kind of took an extra step or just decided to get the creative juices flowing or whatever, but like we had way more teams this time do something at the beginning of their
Yeah.
round just as if you would if it was a performance round, right? Like
Yep.
you might, come out and do something, with the judges, or you might have a little like skit, to kind of set the stage for your theme or whatever. And there was a lot of that, and it was really cool. And some people used video to do it, like like
Right.
a video little snippet.
Snippet.
Um, and some people just went live, and they were like there on the field and did a little something with their dog. We had a lot of it was summer themed, so we had a lot of
Yeah.
down
Floaties and yeah, ocean themes
yeah.
and beachy things and yeah.
I mean that to me that did impact me, like I did see those
Yep.
things and that impacted the performance score, of course. nothing else. But
It had to be because it was a performance round that more people did those intros, because it was a lot more of those throughout, but it made it clearer for me. Like I loved that. I didn't have to go into each round trying to discern what the theme was. Like if it's presented for me on video in some cute creative way, I was able to right away tie it to the theme, tie it to the
yeah,
music, and then the whole round I got to be in the space of that theme versus like when you start and you don't explain that, especially generation like judges from a different generation, like I might not know even what that theme is, or if it's something 80s, I'd probably just avoid it. Sorry, I had to give a crack on the 80s things. By the way, I do tell my students that anytime that you guys are judging, that it's a big plus to do anything 80s. So uh I don't hate the 80s. I like to pick on you. But I
no,
do
and
think the reason why we had so many of those intros this time was because it was performance round. And I thought that made it increased their performance score, but it also made it, as a judge, it made it more enjoyable for me to fully appreciate every detail that they put into that, from their costume, the music, the setup, however they did it. I knew right away. I had all the information up front. And so I was able to like be more present in the round versus thinking about the theme while watching them do moves and trying to kind of like let both of those things happen at once. So I
yeah,
love the intros for anybody that spent the time to do that. Even if it was just like, going from one spot at a park to another spot at a park, or having pool floaties and having, costume things that you threw off before you started playing, or I liked having the visual words come up on the screen and describe it also. So all the different expressions that you guys did, I didn't really have a preference. I just liked that I had some information at the beginning of the performance round about what you were trying to communicate as a theme, so I didn't have to think so hard. I
right.
got to focus more
Just
on
to
on the entertainment value.
just to clarify too, like we are saying that maybe that got you a quarter point or an extra half
Yeah.
point. You still needed to have a really nice round of freestyle with some cool tricks and things like that. You couldn't get a four, even in performance. Like even for your performance score, you couldn't just get a four just because you had a cute song.
A nice
But
intro. Yeah.
the cute song could get you an extra
A
quarter or half
3 or
point,
half a
which
point instead
counts.
of 2.5. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so, and outside of Freestyle Royale, Dre just mentioned something that I think is super important for players to think about, especially in the performance round. If you know who the judges are, like play to them, just as if it's a performance. If I was going to go do a performance up at the Villages, which is north of where I live, and it's a senior citizen retirement home.
You'd do a 50s theme or a 60s theme,
Right,
right?
I wouldn't go up there and like, put on my death metal jam music because that's my favorite music. Who cares what my favorite music is? I'm putting on a performance for these people. So like
Yeah.
I need to cater to them. Now Criterion round, it doesn't factor in. I will
Right.
say it might still factor in a little bit, like subconsciously, but it shouldn't factor in the same way that it does, in the performance round.
Well, you have a whole nother score for performance than you do in the Criterion round. I do think that music is a huge impact on Criterion also. But I'm more willing to like let it go if there's a song that I personally don't like in Criterion, than performance, because I feel like so much about the performance round is about the overall feeling of the round and the musicality and all that stuff. The music choice is definitely going to impact me more on performance, but it, like you said, it definitely does in Criterion too. I like most every kind of music, but if you come out with like screaming death metal, I'm probably going to turn the volume down and watch you play instead of listening to it. But that while that might impact my score a quarter point or a half a point, it's not gonna move you several points just because you like a type of music, you know?
Yeah. But, it's important to like remember that even though we have a rubric, even though we have a judge's cheat sheet, um, everybody sitting in those chairs is still human. And so, anything that you can do to influence them positively, do it.
Yeah.
Like, like if you throw a throw and it looks like it might have been a miss, might have been a catch, that's your opportunity to go, yeah, great catch,
Yeah.
Mike. Right? And then the judge
Catch,
is like, oh
buddy.
wait, oh, that was a catch. Okay, I'm gonna mark it down as a catch.
Yeah.
Like, and that's
That
why
was
it's important
exactly
to
what I planned.
smile, like smiling, making sure that it looks like you're having fun, like And those, when I've got Spice or Wham out there that are smaller dogs, I move close to the judges, all that stuff. Like it does
Yep.
matter. I mean, you might sit there and say, well, it shouldn't matter. Whatever I do, you're right. If a robot was judging you,
Right.
then you'd be right. But
Right.
we don't have robots judging us yet.
And freestyle isn't about robots, it's about subjectivity also. So it's about the feeling that gets created from watching you play. Even if there's not a category for it, it's still about that. So there's always going to be some subjectivity in freestyle. The rubric is to help us stay within the right range, right? But inside that range, there's still like a full point swing one way or the other, and that's where you guys can really influence the judges, is those quarter points and half points, and then those go across 3 or 4 different categories, and then that's a full point or 2 points that adds up over time. So the little quarter points make a big difference. And a lot of times those quarter points, like when you and I are judging together, it's based on how we feel about something. Like that was a little bit sloppy, or that was really, really, maybe they didn't have high level stuff, but they were really patient and connected. That's going to get them the quarter point bump, even if the difficulty wasn't there. Versus somebody that had high difficulty and it felt a little out of control, they might score a quarter point less because I didn't feel comfortable with them playing. Like I felt a little bit uneasy, or a little like it was a little out of control. You have a wham in your face.
Wham.
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 Wham. She wanted to be part of today's episode.
Yeah, I think that Dre, like you're saying, I think that that's where um for me too, that's where sometimes like you did the thing,
Mhm.
whether it was flat work or a flip or a vault or a whatever, like a fancy throw, you did the thing, but like how did you do it?
Yep.
Like, did it come off looking really sharp and crisp? Did your dog look really in control while they were flying
Yep.
through the air? Like
Yep.
those are the little things that that's going to impact the judges,
Yeah.
and that's going to get you instead of, well, I did the thing, so I should be in the threes. All right, well, where in the threes are you? Are you at the
Are you
three?
3 or are you 3, 7,
All right.
5?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And just the difference between 4 different categories is 6 points. That's a lot of points to make up,
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that when you said that, when you're talking about the out throws, that's something that came up for me judging this time, is there were some players that had excellent execution of their throws, but they weren't thrown so that the dog could catch it. So like the disc had a lot of spin and it was flat and it was fast and it looked nicely executed, but it was like the dog, it hit the ground before the dog got there, or it was right over the dog's head and the dog didn't have a good catch and landing. So sometimes even if the human does the execution of the thing well, if it doesn't kind of work together with the dog and the team, it's going to actually hurt you instead of help you, because we can see that you're able to throw the throw well. You're just not paying attention to what the dog is doing. You're only in your own head doing whatever, or maybe you're nervous or whatever, but there's a disconnect there between your ability to throw and your ability to throw to connect with your dog. So even some of the people that had, higher level throwing, if that throw didn't connect with the dog, that's not going to help them even under the human category, it wouldn't help them because they're not throwing in a way that the dog can, it'll solicit a leap and nice collection and a nice showcase of their dog.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things, I was working with some folks over the past weekend. One of the drills that we did for fun well, I thought it was fun. Who knows? They did. But just play catch with somebody. Grab somebody to play catch with. If you don't have somebody to play catch with, grab a throwing net or something like that you can throw against, and grab a stack of discs if you're on your own. If you're playing with somebody, you're playing back and forth. And I set up 2 cones, and I'm standing in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I catch in the middle, I need to pivot to either the right or the left and throw out of my pivot. And then if I catch in the far zone over here, then I pivot to the middle, pivot over here. Like, so each time you're throwing, you're pivoting around. And because, how often in freestyle do we just stand completely still
It's back and forth
and
and back and
throw
forth and back and
things, right?
forth. Yep.
Right. Like maybe in zigzag, maybe you're standing completely still throwing, but everything else you're sort of throwing on the run a little bit, throwing
Yep.
while you're in motion. So like Dre was talking about, making sure you can make that throw. and making that throw for the dog.
Hmm.
You're in motion, the dog's in motion, you got a lot of moving parts. Practice with those moving parts, because if when you practice, you're practicing, staccato, that's
Not
not,
going to transfer when you get out there. Yep. You're
yeah.
going to be overwhelmed. And also, if you are someone who currently is playing staccato, play that way in your performance too. Like don't change. That was advice that I got years ago from Yachi is practice how you perform or practice how you compete. Create this exact
And
same scenario that you have for competition, the same like toss and fetch. Don't practice toss and fetch all calm and then go out on the toss and fetch field and be like,
yeah,
because
yeah.
then everything's going to change. So like try and create your practice sessions to be as close to the scenario that you're going to be competing in. And if that means you go to a public park and just put some cones out and have people looking at you and something like that to create some pressure, or have friends come over, or have something like freestyle royale is an opportunity for that. Let's say you give yourself 2 reps, you can run through your routine twice, and that's it, and you have to pick the best round out of that creates some pressure, you know.
Well, we just wanted to comment a little bit about the Freestyle Royale. We hope that if you haven't played Freestyle Royale, these last two opportunities, there are actually, let's see, there's
September and October.
August,
We have September and
September.
October. Oh yeah, we're in July still. We're still in July.
Yeah. So we
We
have
have August
August,
and September, yeah, and then October.
and October is two of them. So there's actually four more rounds essentially.
Yeah.
The next round in August is
Yep.
back to Criterion, right?
Yep. And it's the bringing the heat for summer. What did we say that was going to be? Bringing the heat, I think it is.
Bring in the heat, and we're gonna the focus subcategory. Do you remember which one it was? It was in the
Yeah.
team connectedness. It
Yeah,
was
team
team
connectedness.
connectedness, which is what we're one of the topics that we were just talking about.
What we're talking about.
So if you haven't
Yeah.
done Freestyle Royale, jump on board. It's a great opportunity. Criterion rounds. You're going to have three amazing judges that you will get written feedback from.
Yep.
Who's the judges for next month?
You asked me so many hard questions. I think it's oh, let me look it up. I think it's Jason and Jay. They might be on separate. Wait, I'll tell you right now.
I think
Tracy,
it's
Jason, Allison, me. Yeah, so me and Tracy and Jason are main judges, and Allison's doing catch ratio on the
perfect.
next one. So
Yeah.
yeah, great judges. And I mean, all the judges that we have lined up for this are all UpDiff judges. They're all world caliber judges. You'll get feedback from qualified judges. Also, I just want to mention that we already have one team from this month's submission that we would like to add an invitation to the invitational based on what was submitted. And that was a team that wouldn't have been on my radar otherwise. So when we're looking for teams for invitational, we're looking from the pool of teams that we've judged because we know the scoring is good. So we're looking for like UpDiff, Freestyle Crown, and Freestyle Royale. Now, Freestyle Crown is going to be the last month of Freestyle Royale. That's what our October month is. That's why there's 2 rounds. But if you play throughout, let's say you have a new dog or a dog that was young last year that didn't really have freestyle and you do this year and you're not on the radar yet, if you jump into Freestyle Royale, it gets you an opportunity to get them in front of us. We see you as a potential rock star to be, invited to the invitational in November. And it's just a great resource for us to be able to see new players other than just at UpDiff or in October.
Yeah. And let's be honest, like, we do get around to some competitions, but we're not at a lot of them. And
Yeah,
even if you were at UpDiff, maybe you didn't have the best round at UpDiff. I've gone to competitions before and laid a big goose egg out there and been like, oh man, that wasn't how I wanted to be, viewed by people. I know I
right.
can do better
Remember
than
the
that.
scene, right? So the next one, oh, you're frozen again. Okay, you're back. Wait. All right. So for August, we get another criterion round with feedback from excellent judges. And then September, we're going to go back to performance again. And then October, We have Freestyle Crown, which is a combination of both. So we add together the scores of a round of criterion and the round of performance to determine the winners of that particular month. So every other month we are awarding whatever our theme is or whatever our focus is for this. So for the next one in August, it's going to be team connectedness. So when you're doing your rounds for that, you want to be thinking about your team connection.
You know, I'm going to an event 2 weeks from now, Kat.
Yeah, you're going to the one in yeah, you're going to Connecticut.
So maybe I can convince Kat or somebody to
There's some good teams
videotape my
showing up there,
round,
yeah.
and I can send it in and get some quality feedback from the judges.
Because you're not judging.
Right.
How fun, Jack! That would be great.
At the event, so it would
Yeah.
count not to be
Yeah,
carried.
that would actually work.
Yeah.
Oh, you get to play. That's so much fun. I'm so excited for you.
Now it's pressure time. Because like
Yeah,
before,
right.
I was like, because I told Ray I wanted to play in front of people, just because I haven't played in front of people in like, I don't know, a long time, because I just haven't had the opportunity. And frankly, I don't have my routines down because I haven't really been practicing lately. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Get practicing. Now you got to work on your team connectedness, Jack.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But you can't win. I don't know. I guess you could win. I won't charge you. You could just register.
Well,
And,
there is no
and then-
winner.
and then-
There's no winner for.
but of the theme, there is of the theme.
Oh, well, for the theme, yeah. I won't.
And you're pretty good at team connection. You won't take a prize.
I won't be good at. Well, see, like team connectedness, though, like that's that
It's your jam.
subcategory where, like, you know, some of the really intricate, kind of innovative team movement
Yep.
gets counted as well, and
Yep.
that's not my bag. So I'm not going to
That
get
is
that.
absolutely your bag. What are you talking about, Mr. Flat Work and Setup Moves?
Well, yes, but
Yeah.
not like cool dancing moves.
It's just literally the same thing. I had students that I worked with 3-4 months ago up in the tri-state, in the Northeast, and then they did a youth seminar, and now I see the routines. I'm like, there's Jack all over that routine, and it's all
That's
the flat
good.
work stuff and the intro into the segments. You're absolutely the dancy guy, whether you want to admit it or not. You are the dancy guy. Your footwork is amazing. Your flat work and setup moves are so creative. And the double and triple and quadruple disc things and the delays and all that kind of stuff. That's absolutely your jam. So bring some of that and let's see if some of our updoggers can beat Jack in August. That'll be the throwdown. Whoever can beat Jack,
I am sure that they will.
we're gonna see. We're gonna see. That's gonna be a little side project.
Yeah,
Who
that'll
could-
be
who
cool.
could beat Jack?
That'll be
Yeah.
cool. I'll have to do that. All right. Well, all right, all you guys out there in Updog Challenge land, we hope that you're able to make it to a live event, even though we're talking about the virtual event. We hope that you're able to make it to a live event, hang out with friends, have a good time. Hopefully the weather's good where you are. In the meantime,
Thanks for sending me new bracelets, Jack. Be kind to yourself and to others.
What up, dog?
and be kind to your animals. We'll see you next time on The Sweet Spot.
Ready, set, go! Yo, you
We're
heard
on the sweet
buzz.
spot.
Heard the word on the street. Up dog challenge. It can't be beat. It ain't just fetch, it's a very special game for the dogs and the people. We all shout its name, whether it's a roller or in the air. My canine companion doesn't really care. We're in the up dog zone now. Got that laser focus, making every throw an epic high flying bonus. What's up, dog? We're on the field, sun in the sky, with my best friend soaring, teaching that just to fly. It's the up dog jingle, so come get in the mix for the ultimate teamwork and all the best tricks. From pro and go to freestyle, we're bringing the heat. We're fun, helpful, and a friendly team that can't be beat. So if you love your pup and you love to see the disc really spin, come on down to Up Dog, where the good times begin.
Yeah, where the good times begin.